Hello and welcome to Game Day. In today's episode, we have a very special guest, Georgina. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We know each other since a lot of years, and I really admire the work that you do. You have done throughout the years. FC Barcelona, at your time at FC Barcelona, you really changed the way football clubs were communicating with their audience. And in today's episode, we're going to talk a lot about social media content, about different strategies, about what is working, what is not working, and in general, where the industry is going and where are the biggest opportunities for football clubs. So, Georgina, thank you for being here again. And maybe we can start by just telling a little bit more about yourself, introducing yourself to the audience, and how was your path to get to FC Barcelona and what you're doing now after a long, successful time at the club.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be able to share this conversation with you. I know we align on so many things, content-wise, industry-wise, so this is promising to be a fascinating conversation. So yeah, long story short, I spent almost 7 years at FC Barcelona, 4 of them as a content creator for the first team. That gave me like a lot of experience on so many levels about the content you need to create, but also the business side and the insights I got to learn from unbelievably good people that had so much knowledge. And with all of this, and also the experience of working with a very talented team, all those insights that I got to carry on with me now that I am just on my own with my own company, digital content, and providing for mainly entertainment industry, focusing in sports and a little bit of music, but I'm staying in sports because sports is just my thing.
Absolutely. And you're going through from working at a football club to being an entrepreneur. How does that change is feeling now?
Well, it's crazy. You tell me. It's a ride. It's a roller coaster. There's days where you're like, what am I doing? Like when you have a full-time job, I think this is in any kind of industry. It doesn't have to be in content or sports. It's just like you're used to, you have your routine, you're in your comfort zone, and it's just like every month you get your paycheck and that's it. But now it's like I'm hunting every day for stuff to happen, to have the clients happy. I have to deal with legal stuff, with business stuff, and it's an amazing growth experience. So I'm very grateful that I get to experience that. I wouldn't say it's an easy road and not for everyone, but for me, I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Yeah, I can imagine. And you're diversifying your business a lot, as I'm seeing. Like every time I have a conversation with Georgina, she's launching a new thing or a new service in her company. So I wish you all the luck in this new time. But let's go back a little bit to your time at FC Barcelona, because I think you were one of the first faces as a social media reporters in football. FC Barcelona was one of the first club in introducing this new person in the content strategy, like the social media reporter that was talking directly to the audience. I remember I always tell the story when I went to Miami on the US store with you on the team, and you had a lot of people asking more photos to you and Aviv, that was your colleague at the time, than to like second team players that were going to with the first team. How does that feel?
It felt really weird, and it still does. Like when people know your name on the other side of the world, and you're like, how is this even possible? But I mean, it's also no surprise because the speaker that is FC Barcelona or just any football club, and the opportunities that social media gives you, how easy, quote unquote, it is to grow and to have your message reach people all around the globe is insane. So it felt weird. It did, and it still does. But it's also just proof of how our work, and I'm not talking specifically about Barca, but just people in the industry, how our work really has an impact on people's lives all around the globe.
Yeah, and in your experience, I think one of the key of your success is that you were given an inside view. Like you really had really good access while you were at FC Barcelona to create content with the players, take the fans behind the scenes. How was that experience at the beginning? Because one of the biggest challenges or one of the hidden gems of every football club is access to the players. That's where the big value in creating content, I think, is today, and what the fans want to see. But at the time when you started, it was not the case. Like, how was that first relationship with the players? How does it felt?
So there's like different levels here, different layers, sorry. For accessing the players, everybody knows this in the industry, it's hard, it's difficult, and every time it's getting more and more difficult. Contracts and deals are in the middle of these situations. So if we go back to when I started, literally for me, one day they were like, okay, you're going to work with a team and you're going to be creating content and all that. But a lot of conversation had happened in order for this to be possible. So I remember one day we went to the training facilities, and I had to do a filming, but that day I was also with Rodrigo Faez and I was with Aviv Levy, and they were my colleagues, and they were introduced to Ernesto Valverde. So they organized this meeting that I could not attend because I had a filming to do, but they organized this meeting to explain that from now on there would be these content creators like us to be around the team, to start traveling and creating content with them. I think you should talk to the people that actually led the conversations in order for this to happen, because for me, it was just given to me. But also it obviously changed a lot. And throughout the years, the relationship changes a lot. It's not the same at the beginning when everyone is like, oh, there's a phone here and there's a camera. And of course, inside content has always been done. It's nothing new. But the access that a mobile phone gives you and how close it is and how non-invasive it is now, but how invasive it was 5 years ago when you would like follow someone with a phone. Now we're like, it's much more invasive if you're with a camera, but 5 years ago, it was the other way around. So this transformation, the way that I saw it was very organic and very natural. Also, the fact of traveling every weekend for 4 years, midweeks with the team, spending nights away, the whole pandemic where it was just me traveling every game. So when you basically could see no one, I was just seeing the football players. Like I couldn't see maybe my family, but I was seeing them. So it was a bit of this weird situation, and that obviously helped a lot to make it easier, I think, for people now. And I think content in all the clubs now is like seen as something very necessary at all levels in any, not only the clubs, but in general in any company. And I think all the work that was done, not only from me, but from me as a content creator, but also the people behind it, is really what made it possible for this to happen now. And
you traveled with the club for 4 years, you said?
Yeah, 4 seasons.
4 seasons, every weekend.
Yes.
Going all around the world. I'm sure you had a lot of funny moments.
Yeah, and very sad ones as well.
And very sad ones as well. But you had a very successful, like the time you were, it was pretty successful, no? In terms of sports victories.
Depending on what you consider successful, I wish I could have been in the Guardiola era and the Luis Enrique era. It was not the case. I joined the team in 2018, like the first team. That is Valverde's season where we are set for the treble, but we get to Anfield. And it's also known as the beginning of the end. So I kind of joined there. So we had these good moments, but also... and all the funny moments and funny stories at any point. But sports-wise, I would say...
Yeah, I mean, you won the league.
I just have one league and one Copa del Rey.
One league and one Copa del Rey.
It's not that good.
Well, if you compare it to the Guardiola era, of course.
No, of course. Or even, like my friend Sarah, I always tell her, like, one season traveling and you score a Liga and a Super Cup. And me for 4 years, 4 full seasons, one league and one Copa del Rey. But I mean, it's not about the trophies at the end of the day.
But what were your favorite moments?
I think, it's really the people you travel with, and like, I don't know, I don't have like this story in my head that I can tell you and we're laughing about it because I have to think of it. But I can also tell you that some of the funniest moments of my life have happened in these situations, like in unreal situations where you are like in the other side of the world. And yeah, it's just that everything that surrounds football is pretty unreal sometimes, and it looks like science fiction. So yeah, the funniest moments of my life are definitely happened in this ambience and moments, but I need to think about one. I
can imagine that the PSG comeback was a really good one.
I wasn't working with the team in that one. I was at the stadium, but also when you're working, it's very different. Like you don't really get to see the game. Here's a funny story, and it's also one that I love telling my students. Like when I give lectures about social media and that, I'm like, forget about the fancy, I'm gonna go to all the games and get paid to watch football. Yeah, not really. Not really. Like in this case, for example, it was a Ferencváros Barça first game of the Champions League, I think. It was a pandemic. It was played behind closed doors. And I had to do so much content during the pandemic. It was insane. I was doing the real time on Instagram stories. I was sending all the stuff that was happening real time to the team so they could post. I was doing a vlog every game that was filmed while I was doing also the real time myself. No one was with me. And I had to edit it once the game ended. On top of that, I would do 1 hour live show from the stands before the game. And everything that is unseen, like handling just the situation around at stadiums, it's another extra task that you need to do. And on top of that, because nobody else could access the stadium in Champions League, and it was just me and one videographer, like in the whole stadium, I was also supposed to do like the flash interviews after the game. So Barca wins 5-1. I spent the whole game like filming and taking pictures and vlogging and doing the live connections. And it's such a mess. I see nothing from the game. Also, there's no fans. So if you score a goal, basically, if you're not watching, you don't even realize. So I would be like, oh, 3-1, amazing. But I'm not even watching the game. And so the game ends. I'm doing the flash interviews. And suddenly some guy approaches. And I'm like, are you Ronald Araujo? Like, I've seen you around, but I don't know who you are. Like, it's his first game. Like, he's from the reserve team. Nobody really knows him. And I'm like, did you even play? Like, I don't know. And what am I supposed to ask? And all these thoughts are crossing through my mind. Like, what am I going to ask this guy? Fortunately, I done my homework. I knew who he was, even if he had never played with the first team before, or maybe like just one game. He was still with the reserve team. And I was like, so first game, Champions League, who you're thinking of? Who do you want to dedicate the win to? Like, these typical questions, awful ones. But I didn't even know that he had played because I was so focused, like, delivering all the content, like 30 stories and one vlog and all the B-roll and dealing with the situation and doing live connections for the game, helping the team and doing everything that I could. So yeah, Ronald Araujo played. I'm so sorry. And I didn't even realize that he had entered the pitch.
And while you were talking, you made me think, because if you see smaller clubs and you see the big clubs, there's a huge difference in their content strategy, especially in the quantity of content they create. And you mentioned that in that case you were one person team just executing a live show, creating live content for stories, a video blog. What skills you think people need to be that one person show that can run and create a content strategy for a football club? Because sometimes football club says, okay, we don't have the resources to create the content, but in that case, how you describe it, you were just one person with what skills you need, and what is the equipment that you're using in those situations?
So I wouldn't say it's the optimal situation. Like, if you can afford to have 4 people do that, I think that's amazing, and you definitely should have different people do, because you will have less mistakes and everything will be better. But it is true that one person can, if they have the skills or the experience and all of that, and they can pull this big amount of content out. You ask me skills, I would say they look very obvious, but like languages are a must. because if you don't speak number of languages, you will never be able to present a vlog or a live show or stories. So it's a very basic need. You need to be very creative, because putting real-time vlog, live show, and all of this means like thinking, or at least having like a lot of ideas every game. There's games every 3-4 days, and you don't want to do the same thing every day, or at least I didn't want to. The amount of content that has gone unposted is insane. Really good ideas that went to waste just because we lost and the content wasn't posted, for example. So I really wanted to have something new in every game day. So creativity is definitely a must. And finally, the most important skill, more than tech, because tech, I think everyone can learn to film and to, like, it's better if you have it in you, as in everything in life, but you can train yourself to do that. Time management and experience, like, I think it's the most crucial one, like knowing exactly what's going to happen at every time, mastering the time that you need to do for everything. For example, something very basic, don't film with your Instagram app. Film with your camera, you film everything, then you cut your clip. Because if you are editing, you're missing out on something that is possibly happening around you. If you're using your Instagram camera, you have to download and then re-upload. And also, well, Instagram is going to have the metadata that you filmed this with Instagram, and maybe you cannot cross-post it to other platforms. So film with your camera. These things, if you master them and you are able to manage, work across multiple projects at a single time, I think it's the most valuable skills. The rest you can learn, but being very organized inside of your brain, or being able to handle a lot of different situations at once is like the most important.
And what would be the minimum viable team that any football club should have? Because this is something that you see, like sometimes teams are not investing that much into the content team because they don't see the return on investment. You know, that's just not the case anymore, but you still have those conversations where, you know, you need to invest in creating more content, but they see like the top management sees it as a cost, not as a revenue generator. What is, in your opinion, like the minimum viable team to say, if you want a consistent content strategy, you need at least these 3, 4, 5 people with this set of skills?
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think it depends more on, like in every group team, like the amount of skills that all of them together have. Like if you can have like 3 people that can do everything, that is the best. And I think you should always aim for people that can do multiple stuff in social media content. But as I said, like if you can afford to have more, always try to have more, because the more people you have, in theory, the better content you will be able to put out. So as for the minimum people, like you can definitely have one person that does real-time content creation, and then you need one backup person to be able to post that across the channels. You're going to need a photographer. You cannot do pictures and video at the same time, or social media video at the same time. And that is difficult. So I would say a photographer. I think design is so underlooked by the sports industry in general. But they don't realize, like at FC Barcelona personally, like we never, I think, had like I don't want to say 2024 a design team, like not at all, but like thinking of the future of design. Like we weren't investing on having these thoughts on how should design be. Like I always wanted more design wise, and I think this goes across all the sports clubs. Like design is everything on social media. Video is everything, and next comes design. Design tells more stories than just a single picture, because it allows you to overlay information. So you need people who are able to execute this kind of designs that don't have to be like brilliant at it. It's just like giving data, information, Bleacher Report, for example, being able to post a quote with the pictures. These things work amazing. They blow up every time because they provide value. They have a lot of information inside, and the fans know that they will engage more. So I think design is generally overlooked, and having a strong design team is important for every brand, but also in sports. And content creators, as many as you can. The more you have, the more content you will be able to deliver. But I think with these 4 profiles, you should be able to like start. But of course, like if the more you have, it's the better.
Yeah, obviously, if you have more resources.
And very important, I forgot, like one very important, crucial piece is like a head of content. Someone that will lead these people, like in the way of, football is a very particular industry, you know this. We have content every day happening around, like there's training sessions and there's games and there's press conferences and there's things happening every day. So basically, if you did nothing creative, you could survive by just posting the day-to-day stuff because there's always something and your squad is 20 to 25 people. So they will obviously do something every day. Or you could just repost what they post and you'd be fine with that. So making this live with what will make you different is crucial. Like having someone that will really balance between what you need to post because it's what's happening, but also giving importance to what only you have, and it's going to position you in front of other clubs because they all have training sessions, but how many of them have all the content that the content creators are going to create? So having someone that really understands this vision, leads them, helps them, I think it's probably the most important one.
Basically develop the storytelling.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Let's develop the storytelling and try to differentiate.
The tone of voice, the strategy, like everything. It's so fascinating to me how sports has so much stories going around, and sometimes you need someone that loves, that is passionate about football. For example, if you work for a football team, to remember that day where that player scored 5 goals. I'm not talking about on this day, like 5 years ago today. No. Like if a player scores 5 goals today, you're like, oh, this happened that time. Leo Messi did this or did that, and we can do like this mirror image where you need someone that thinks of that kind of stuff. So another important skill, like knowing your football, will set you in advantage in respect of the other people.
I think that's across everything, knowing where you are playing. But it's true that football has a lot of sensibilities and a lot of history, and it's all about passion. And sometimes when you create content, you have to be aware of that passion and how people feel when you post something. You mentioned that you had so much content created but not posted because the team didn't win. So that the sport performance clearly affect the way you work every day.
Yes. Also, I think one thing that was really well done at my time at Barca is that by the team is that like we were not brilliant in sports. It's kind of easy when you're winning, like your numbers will go up.
Absolutely. I always say like the best social media strategy is winning on the pitch.
Of course, the best football strategy is winning. Like the whole company is going to benefit from your team winning. Social media is no different, of course. But maintaining the numbers when you are losing 4-0 at Anfield, when you are getting destroyed by Bayern 8-2, like while you are being hated on for your coaches, for your board, like that is where the real challenge is, I think. And I think it was very successfully dealt with at the time. So while winning will definitely boost your metrics and will help you, what is really core to understand is that there's only one winning team, but all of the rest can be winning in content if they know how to deal with the storytelling around them. If they capitalize the tone of voice, what they want to share, the way they share it, if they have hosts or not, if they build this strong, consistent social media content strategy and are able to develop the assets that will make people engage, it doesn't matter if you're winning or losing, if you are 16 on the table or if you are Girona and breaking everything this season. Like it really doesn't matter because your fans will engage with it the same. You will grow to new audiences as well. Zenit, Roma, like there are so many examples that really took advantage of this a few years ago. So yeah, of course the sports performance will affect the numbers, but being able to deal with defeat is also what will make you different and better in the game.
I always say that a strong content strategy will help you win more when you win,
Yes.
and lose less when you're losing.
100%.
And now you don't see that much. But I remember a few years ago, it was very, very common that when a team was losing or when a player was not playing well, the strategy was, okay, I'm not posting anything.
Yes.
I just hide myself. It's like put my head under the water, just wait until the storm passes away. And at the end, that I think that those are the moments where you really need to show up.
Really? Yeah, absolutely.
More than when you're winning.
Yeah,
when
totally.
you're winning, it's easy. You're gonna whatever content you post, you're gonna get the engagement. When you're losing is when you need to create more, when you need to stay closer to your fans to build that connection.
Absolutely. I've had like massive fights with my former boss, who I have a great relationship today. But in the past, like we struggled a lot because he was more in the, no, we should not post and be silent after the 4-0 at Anfield. And I was like, to be honest, I think like, of course, we need to see what kind of content we're going to post. But as a Barca fan, I am very hard. It's very painful for me to see the team like this. So I want my club to tell me that it's going to be fine and see all of them working together. Or I want a beautiful graphic that will say like, en las buenas y en las malas. I don't know how to say this in English, but like we stand with the team no matter what, because colors are stronger than just winning or losing. So that would be my approach. I understand and respect that a lot of people still don't think like this, or maybe they never will. But if you get to tone down your tone of voice and you get to adjust what you want to say, these are the posts that will really like skyrocket your metrics.
And you mentioned before time management of one of the main skills that someone needs to have to be successful in creating a social media content strategy. What about planning? Because sports has a at the beginning of the season, you know already who are you playing against, when, and there are things that happen and change the calendar if you win on the knockout stage and you go to the next game. But how important is the planning that you do previously to a big event?
That's very interesting. It really depends on the final output. It's not the same to prepare for a live show where you need to prepare 100% of the content than real time. So I would say it's a balance. Planning is really important, and sometimes it's not done enough, because if you script well and you know everything that you're going to post, then you will be able to improvise better, because you will have to spend less time thinking on what to post. So here's another funny story, or maybe not funny, but just like a quick tip for anyone out there wanting to be a content creator or a host for a football team or something like that, is I would, before a game, have my script on what I would post at every moment. 10 a.m., match day, 10:30, hello from the stadium, blah, 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 blah. So every 15 minutes, I knew what I had to post. All the branded content that the wonderful team at Barca would share with me, so that I didn't really have to spend time thinking of how I need to activate things, because they would just say, you need to do this, and I would be so grateful for that. I would add it to my script very organically, as much as possible. And then I knew at every moment. So if the press officer would come in and be like, can you come to the locker room because something happened and there's going to be a special ball that's been signed by whoever, can you come film this? I can, because I have my script well prepared, that I know that while I'm filming this inside the locker room, I don't need to be thinking of what I'm filming next and wasting time on this. So I go, I do my filming, then I add this to the script, and I just post the script on the wallpaper of your phone so that you don't waste battery unlocking, going to your app and checking that. No, wallpaper. I just tap, I see the time it is and the things that I need to do next. So I know exactly at what moment what I have to do. You put it out there, it's probably the top one mind-blowing discovery that I've done, like doing this. Like 6 years ago was like, this is what I need to do. So I don't waste battery and I don't have to carry on with 6 phones every time dealing with that. Yeah. So yeah, planning is everything.
I think I'm gonna copy you with the to-do list for every day.
Of course.
I mean, that's a really good productivity tip.
I go to the supermarket with my with my to shop list on my as my wallpaper. If you see my wallpaper, it's full of lists, basically. Yeah, I don't list everything. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's very useful. Like it's very useful.
I like that productivity tip.
It's a productivity hack.
Every time you learn something new. It's incredible. I really like it. I mean, I now forget what I was going to ask you.
no, this is every time I tell it, everyone is like, "Oh wow, that is so clever." I'm like, you make the best decisions out of need. Like when you're there, like. Because sometimes you plan and everything goes wrong and you end up losing and people are screaming at you for no reason, or maybe just raining and everything you had planned goes to waste. But your wallpaper,
or you get the wrong accreditation, you cannot access somewhere, or
so many times, or you travel, you don't have a hotel, or maybe sometimes it happened to me that I didn't have a plane ticket. I couldn't fly, so they had to prepare one. And I was like, okay, guys, maybe I'm not going. And sometimes I forgot my ID home. Oh, here's a funny one. I forgot my ID once while traveling with the team. But thanks to superpower out there, I was not the only one because Ousmane Dembele did as well. So I was like, if he flies, I fly. If it was just me, I would have stayed on Earth so much. But yeah, so there we were, the two of us, in that little room, waiting for someone at the airport to allow us to board the plane. And they were like, yeah, we are a mess. We are. And the both of us with our ID in the phone, we know we are going to forget it. So we already have it prepared in our phone. Can we board, please? And they allowed us in the end.
Really, really cool story. I can imagine you with Ousmane Dembele waiting at the police station at the airport. The funny things and stories that you say. And what about the planning on the messaging and the tone of voice? Because, if you go to a game, there are 3 possible outcomes. You win, you lose, or you draw. If you are in a knockout stage, you have basically 2 outcomes. You go through or you don't go through. Do you prepare that in advance as well?
I would. I definitely would. If it was in my hand and power, I would say to all the clubs, you need to prepare for the 2 outcomes. You need to prepare for defeat as much as we're going to prepare for victory. In the past, I would say that from my experience, victory is worked 95%. And then if you lose, it's not even a 5%. It's just we're going to do our routine silence, not really talk about it and that. And I remember the first time we actually created something specific. We created a design. I had to work my way into having this piece of content because nobody wanted to do it. And I was it was the first year we were going to go to the Europa League as Barca. So the year before the Xavi, so Koeman, we went to the Europa League. And I was like, guys, if we don't make it to the I'm 28 years old. I have never seen Barca not play the Champions League, not Conference League. I've only seen the good Barca. And I am the perfect target. Our followers are 18 to 35, so they basically haven't seen Barca lose. And if we go to the Europa League, I will be devastated. So I don't want my club to go silent on this one. So I'm going to prepare a graphic, if you don't mind, with all the players together, all of them, and saying we'll come back stronger, or we're going for everything, or colors, or whatever message like this one. And that was, I think, one of the first times that it was done. We knew, we had to win at the Allianz Arena. It was almost impossible. I think we lost 3-0. The moment they scored the first one, I was like, guys, prepare the edit because it's going out 100%. We're going to lose this one and it's going to be really hard, but at least we're not going to, in my opinion, let the fans down, and we're going to have something to tell them once the game is over and they are really mad. So we had that piece of content to be it's a hard, tough moment for us, but we stand together.
Okay, so what I get from all this conversation is basically you need to be very good at the multitasking.
Yes.
You need to be creative. You need to have your to-do list on the back of on the wallpaper of your phone, to don't forget anything, and be prepared for any random situation that can come up.
Yes,
as the key elements to be a good content creator for sports. And let's talk a little bit more about the industry, because we talk about the challenges that some teams are having, not investing that much in creating the content. But the truth is that We went from, like, if you look years ago, you only had 1-2 platforms. Now you have incredible amount of platforms. You have Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, X, TikTok, YouTube. And the problem is that we think each platform, and I always say this, that you cannot see every social media as a standalone product. We think every platform, you have a portfolio of products. So if we take Instagram, that is probably the one that people know better, are more familiar with. You have stories, content you create for stories, content you create for the feed. You have video, you have reels, you have the Explore and how you position your content into the Explore. So it's really difficult to create content for every platform.
It's super complicated.
I was reading a report from IMG Digital, and one of the tips that they were giving and the trends that they saw on digital was that sports team needs to start thinking about which contents they create, which platform they create content for, and also making hard decision of maybe stopping posting in one platform because it's not giving them the return on investment. In your opinion, what are the platforms that the football clubs need to invest more now if they have to prioritize?
In general, and this is not only sports, but it's an important introduction, I think. Whenever you are opening a brand or a new something you need to post, you need to understand who's your target, always. Because it's not the same if your fans are 18 years old or if they are 60. Completely different platforms. Where in the world are they? It's not the same for a team in the Middle East where probably Snapchat is going to be their go-to platform than someone from Spain that doesn't really use the platform. They don't really use the platform. So where are you from, or where is your target located geographically? And finally, your industry or the amount of footage that you're going to have from your team. So if you know if you're a very small team, you know you're not going to have any kind of video and you're only going to have pictures. I don't know, maybe entering TikTok is going to be really challenging, while you could build a very, very strong WhatsApp group where you could be sending voice notes from the players to your fans. So you need to balance everything together. If you are a generic, average football team from Europe, only for your European fans, so your base strategy, surely Instagram and TikTok, but then YouTube for the revenue. I would keep Facebook just doubling the posts from Instagram. Like, I'm talking minimums here. Obviously, as always, the more the better. So doubling the posts from Facebook. I think X or Twitter, you could orientate it to giving a specific service, like. But not having X become like the place where you post everything, because that just will make your account stall. And I would avoid Twitch because it's really hard to maintain. Like, it's like a lot of resources need to be invested to create a live show every day or every whenever. Discord, if you ever get the resources, is a really good place to create communities. And then for your internationalization strategy, you could focus on platforms that are very strong in some specific areas. I'm not even getting into the China market. Like, this will all depend. But for an average European football club, I would say TikTok, Instagram are the main ones, with YouTube. Understanding the new YouTube and also all these platforms, they are so, as you said, they have their own portfolio of products inside. So it's like, it's not Instagram. No, it's Instagram Reels, it's Instagram Stories, it's Instagram Feed, broadcast channels, blah, blah, blah. Can you post the same thing on Instagram broadcast channels and WhatsApp? Yes and no, because the people on WhatsApp are not the same that are on Instagram. So you always need to adapt. It's so complex. And yeah, the big thinking heads, sometimes they don't understand. They think it's just like taking a picture, uploading to stories, and that's it. But it's so much more complex than this. The same way that we've understood that an advertisement on bus stop is not the same as the one that when you're driving, or the one that you see on your TV, or the one that you get in the mailbox at your house. Like we need to understand that the portfolio of the platforms varies a lot product to product, and it's challenging also because it's very volatile and it changes every time. Like YouTube, 3 to 6 minute videos, then plus 10 you're going to monetize more. And now we're seeing YouTube boost clearly the longest videos. 1 hour video is much better than 11 minutes. And I'm not even talking about 2-minute video. Like, who would post a 2-minute video on TikTok nowadays? So this is valid for today, January 2024, or February already, I don't know. But will it be still valid in September? I don't know. And you're going to have
Probably
to think
not.
again.
Probably
so
not.
this is why it's so complex and challenging. And when you go there to get your budget, but didn't you say that you needed 20K for that TikTok project? Not anymore. Where did that money go? No, because now I'm going to use it for Telegram. I don't know. And sometimes for the the more executive thinking head, it's difficult to understand.
Yeah, I think the one of the key to success is first consistency. Like, be consistent on your content strategy. It's key. And the other one is flexibility. Try things. Like, don't stick to one strategy. Just look around, because the algorithm changes, the platform are changing all the time. I always challenge people to go to Google and check how was Instagram 3 years ago. Like, you don't recognize the app.
Yeah.
And it feels so natural. And I remember when I started at Twitter, we didn't have video. It was 2013 when I started. Video didn't exist. The first video product we had, or the first video product I worked with, was when I was at Twitter, was Vine, which was 6 second square looping videos. And funny enough, that was the beginning of a lot of content creators, and the first platform that was really investing into short form content. Maybe it was too short, like we can argue, but if you look now at how content has evolved, we went from more longer form content to short form, and now you're seeing also longer form being more important with time, and the content you monetize better. So you need to always find this balance between the audiences that are more casual and want to consume snackable content, and the audiences and the communities that really want to engage with you and really want to spend time and work on the storytelling for those audiences as well.
Totally. In fact, when I was saying like what you should consider, like your target, the geography of where your followers are based and all that, and the resources you have, like there's also, it's very important, like what do you want to get out of social media? Like, I don't think social media nowadays should be seen as a place of cost, but a place of revenue. Like, I don't understand creating content if it's just for the content. Like, the ultimate goal should be to monetize this. So why would you like open a platform or another? Like, if you want to get revenue, Meta is probably not the place to do that. They don't have a history of being able to monetize the way that other platforms do. Another thing is if you get a deal, obviously, like you get a deal to create that is awesome. But in general, for creators, like
you're talking direct monetization.
Direct monetization, like a new platform that pays you. We are opening this platform. If you join in, you're gonna get a deal that is different. But in general, like direct monetization from the platform. If you want the revenue, I would say you can only get one platform. Go to YouTube. Yeah. Like if you have go there, like it's proven method, like you're gonna get it. Instead, the short form is much more difficult to monetize. Instead, you want to create awareness, you want to go on TikTok, or Instagram Reels, but I think TikTok makes you grow faster, and also is a growing platform with more users every day, so that also organically leads to more following. So the output of what you want to get, if you're a brand just starting, obviously you want to be on Instagram as well. But knowing the real output or where you want to get from your social media channels strategy will also make you decide what platform you should be on.
Yeah, and you mentioned advertising and you mentioned monetization, and the biggest opportunity, I think, for sports in the moment is not so much on the direct monetization. I think it can be an opportunity, but
totally.
the big opportunity is the sponsorship activation and the indirect revenue streams that you can create. Now in your new venture, you're working with brands to help them activate on social media to create engaging content, not like the classic boring content that you get sometimes from more traditional brands. Can you explain us a little bit? What are you doing right now? Which brands are you working with? And a little bit, what are brands looking when they come to you for their content strategy?
Yes, it depends on the client a lot, but I offer like two different types of service: content creation and content strategy. Some brands, they have a very well thought strategy, but they don't have the power to execute it. So they're going to need like the content creation. Some others have a bunch of content creators in-house, like juniors, interns that can create the content. They are natives, they can do it, but they don't have the strategy. They don't know how to really achieve the consistency, and so they need the strategy. And then there's brands that just need both. That are obviously the most interesting ones, because executing a strategy that one good thing of being a company or freelancing is that you can choose your clients. If I don't align with a strategy, it will be very difficult for me
to execute.
There is no money to be paid for executing a strategy that you don't believe in, because I want results at the end of the day. And if I don't believe in a strategy, like, it's not something that I can do. And on the other hand, like doing a big strategy when the client, might not be able to execute it is also a challenge. So when they need both, that is the best thing. I work with brands in football. I am working with football clubs. I'm working with competitions. I'm working in music with big events. Well, these festivals in Spain, tours from big artists. And you get to learn a lot from all of them, understand how they work. I mostly only had the experience from FC Barcelona. Like, I'd done different freelancing things while I was at Barca as well. But from a big company, like, that was the only experience. And understanding the needs of each is fascinating to me, trying to adjust as well. And what they need the most usually is understanding that content is not just like taking a picture and uploading it and getting followers. Like, no. I know you've seen Emily in Paris. I know like, when they post, they automatically grow followers. That is so not true. Like, I always say, like, when you've seen that TV show where the girl just posts a picture and randomly she has 2,000 followers, that is just not going to happen. And not because you are posting a reel every day, you're going to make it. Like, it's going to help, but you need different ingredients to make your recipe work. And most of the brands, when they approach me, they don't know this is what they need, but I always try to explain, like, you want to get this and you think you're here, but maybe let's just get some steps back and think again, how are we going to get there? Because a lot of the times, the ambition to grow on social media is massive, but the steps into getting there, it's not that evident for a lot of people.
There's one thing that now that you were mentioning the ambition to grow, and in my experience also, to every football club that I've been working with, to every brand, every organization, when I ask the question, okay, what's your goal on social media? The first thing that I will always get, the first answer is growing in followers.
Yeah,
that was the number one, and it's like, okay, but success in social media cannot be a goal on the platform itself. Your goal is not growing in followers; it's brand awareness. So maybe followers is not the metric. And I haven't seen one content team that has a target on the number of posts they do, the number of interactive campaigns they do. It's like all the goals that are set for the content teams are typically dependent on the platform and the algorithm, but it doesn't really depend on the actual work they do. So it's a bit unfair for some
So unfair.
for some contentists, because you're basically setting your team for failure.
Yes.
If the platform is not growing and you don't reach the number of followers, obviously a big content strategy and a strong content strategy will help you grow your followers. But at the end, you need to, I think, set goals more based on the actual work of the team. Exactly. And not so much on relying on what the platform can
no. Totally. There's a great example of this. For example, at Barca, we used to do a content series that was called In the City. So I would go to the city where the team was going to play in the Champions League 1 week before. So we were playing Napoli. I would go there 1 week before, spend 2 days in the city, film the stadium, film the city, talk to the people, do a lot of content, and go back to Barcelona, and then the following week, go again with the team. We knew that I'm talking 2019. Like, it's very obvious now, but it was not that obvious at the time. So the people who were making the decisions there, I think they are to admire because of how they thought and they saw this into the future. So all this lifestyle content, we knew it was not the content that was going to perform the best. And when we did the first, it was like, oh, it only did 30K views on YouTube, that first video. And maybe the more traditional people were like, we're not going to do it again. It's like, give it a try. And also, this is not just bringing you views. This is positioning yourself as a club in lifestyle, talking about the city, showing respect. We are also engaging with local fans from there in the video. A lot of people will see it. Then we go to Manchester and we do the same thing. And the video works better because, no offense to Lyon, but Manchester United is a much stronger team than that Olympique Lyon. So the Lyonnais, the video obviously worked better. But the work behind was the same. The brand awareness, however you want to call it, was the same. And then we went to Liverpool and we did it again, and it worked even better. And the tour around the stadium, I think it's already like 1 million views on YouTube, which for a content with no players, and with basically just me talking to the camera, I think that's a lot, because who would want to watch that, you know? But yeah, it was interesting. And the things that this kind of content brings to your brand should be much more than valuable than the final number of views, followers, or anything that you have, because that's what makes you different, and that's what might help getting other deals and being able to execute some activations that maybe you wouldn't be able to if you didn't have this kind of content.
Yeah, I have another funny story with this. I was working when I was working at Meta. One of my partners was PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, and obviously the social team had a lot of goals around growing in followers, growing interactions, and suddenly Messi moved from Barca to PSG. In 1 week, they destroy all their goals. Like in 1 week, just with the transfer of Messi, they gain 2 times more followers that they were expecting to. The whole target of the year. They have more engagement than the whole previous season. So it was something external, out of the control of the team completely, that made, the team had to rethink all the strategy. Whether if you think about, this is what we're going to do, this is going to be our content strategy, this is what we're going to post, and our goal is to execute on this. No matter what happened externally, we will stuck to these goals. It's still this obsession with getting more followers, when in reality your goal should be brand awareness, selling more tickets, selling more shirts, getting direct revenue, activating your sponsorship, or generate more revenue or more assets for the marketing team to sell.
In fact, and you know about this much more than I do, but platforms understand this. So earlier, like a decade ago, if you had 100 followers and you posted at 10 a.m. and 20 of your followers were active, 20 of your followers will get your tweet with, because it was a chronological feed, that will get this. Then we evolve into the non-chronological, still not a For You page, but non-chronological feed where you would get some kind of who you interact most with. It's not really a For You page, but it's somewhere in between. And then it doesn't really matter if 20 people are active or not. If you're engaging more with them, maybe 40 of your followers will get the post, and you will get this reach of 40 people. Now we are getting to these For You pages where you don't even need to follow the person to receive their content. What are the platforms saying here? Is like, at the end, if you want to convert and you want to, like, the content you need to do is with a sales mindset, or with a whatever goal it is. If it's selling tickets, with the selling tickets. If it's with a specific campaign, with a specific campaign. But it's like, you don't need to have like 1 million followers to hit 1 million views, because if your content is good, your message is good, it interests people, your final product is good, you're gonna sell the tickets thanks to the platforms and how they are working, because they understood that what content teams sometimes haven't understood yet, that they don't need to grow a lot in followers in order to check the boxes of their goals in sales or in conversion.
Yeah, I think now the opportunity is actually bigger, because before
Totally.
you need a lot of work building your audience, and don't get me wrong, like building your audience is still super important.
Absolutely.
But when you post something, it has the opportunity, or it has the potential to go to every single person in that platform that is potentially interested in that content.
Correct.
And that is it's a huge opportunity. And that's why I think sports need to do a change of mindset and say it's not anymore just about the football or just about the sport. It's about the entertainment. It's about entertaining people. That's the key. It's how you entertain people, even if you are not a hardcore football fan.
Absolutely. And with football being less and less kind of relevant every day, with not because it's less relevant, but now it's sharing its space with a lot of other entertainment things that are happening. You only had football maybe, well, I don't know, but 30 years ago, maybe, like, of course the offering was much smaller, but now you have football, you have live streams from your favorite streamers every day, you have so many Netflix, HBO, movies, music, you can go outside, you have so many activities, music, galleries to visit in your city, friends, social media, like you're competing with your friends are posting pictures, you would rather see the picture of your friend who's just dating this new girl rather than your football team, well, maybe not a lineup, but you get me, like you're competing against so much stuff.
The attention span
is dropping every day. So it's much more difficult now for football to stay relevant, and that's also how you need to maximize this opportunity that you are having. You're competing with all these people, but this 10 years ago would have been impossible for you to grow. But now, like, if you have 0 followers, you can get millions of views. Like, I see everyday TikToks with this 9 million views and 2,000 followers that they probably just made out of this TikTok. Because it was just a fun content that went viral, and that's it. And literally, that's it. The problem is to think that every content is going to go viral, or that going viral is either random or easy, because it's not. It's kind of easy if you know what to do. It's, I wouldn't say mathematical, but there's so many steps that can lead to that. No guarantee, but can lead to that. But instead, like, it's like a lot of bosses, managers, they think like, or we're hiring people that are going to do a viral video, or I want this to go viral.
That doesn't exist.
That doesn't exist. Like, you need so much more. Or this piece be really a masterpiece, like a very, very fun story of someone like falling and hitting like this glass door. And yeah, of course it's going to go viral. Do you have this? No, then it's not going to go viral. Like, it can go, you can go viral with 100 followers. You do, but you need to know what you're doing. Or just post like literally the best type of content that everyone will laugh about and share on their WhatsApp groups with their friends.
Yeah, but it's more the method.
It's a method.
It's a method.
That's a word.
You need to stick to the method,
Yes.
and going viral will be kind of an accident or a consequence of following the method. But as you said, like, not every video will go viral, and suddenly one video will generate 30,000 views, but
Right.
suddenly you don't really know why, but because you're sticking to the method, you will hit that viral video that will reach 1 million views, 2 million views, and completely explode and skyrocket all your metrics.
Yes, yeah. Stick to the method is the new trust the process.
Yes.
Basically. It's like you need to do this every day, and if you are posting consistently content that you really believe in, it's original, it adds value, it will take an undetermined amount of time, but at the end, at some point, as a milestone, it's gonna blow up. Like one of them is gonna blow up. Like, and maybe the difference between a video blowing up, becoming viral, and you getting from 1 million views to get 1,000 followers or to get 10,000 will depend on your previous method. Like if you've had all these, people will enter your profile and be like, oh, they post this content a lot, so I'm gonna follow them. Instead, if you only have one video that you got lucky and went viral, okay, you're gonna get the views, but not the following. Hence, not the awareness and not the it's.
And you don't build the community and the relationship with your followers, which I think you really nailed that, because with content you can, without consistency, you can go viral, you can get the views, but you will never build a relationship with the audience. And that's the most important thing. It's to build a relationship and have a strong community to monetize, because without a strong community, you're just lucky. You get good numbers, and those are vanity metrics, but you will not be in a position to really monetize.
No, correct. That is exactly it. And it's a method. I'm sorry to be using the same word every time, but it's really as it is. And if you understand how, like, the behavior of the user at some point, like, it's so natural, it's so normal. The way I always try to think how I interact. And the way I interact is probably how people are interacting with my content or my brand clients' content. So I want them, in order to lead to the maximum conversion, I need to gain the trust, I need to get them engaged, I need to do so many steps before that. And you don't do this with just one viral video. You need a strong consistency method before that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Georgina, thank you so much for taking the time. It's been, I think, a very insightful conversation. I really enjoyed it. And you gave me, I take two things from this conversation. Your tip on the wallpaper.
Never fails.
I will have my to-do list as a wallpaper on my phone every day, and the method, like being consistent to the method, is what will lead you to success and build a strong community on digital.
Stick to the method.
Stick to the method. So all the luck for your new venture.
Same.
And hope to have you again in the podcast where you will talk us with the new projects.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, and a pleasure every time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kike.